Hi everyone, welcome to my new video. Today's topic is a promise constructor. This video is a part of a series about promises. So I will make some more videos about the promise in JavaScript. So basically the topic of this one is a promise constructor. So how you can write your promise object with the resolve and the reject arguments, and a few examples. So let's head on to the presentation that I made. So promise constructor, according to the SEMA script, is default value of a global property promise. So it is a value that is globally available through your code, JavaScript code, right? It creates and initialize new object created with promise. We have to call the promise the constructor with the new keyword. And very important, it is not intended to be run as a function. So we cannot run this constructor function of the promise as a function because it will throw an error, right? So how the promise constructor and then executor looks like. As you can see here, I'm assigning to the value of the promise. I'm making a new promise with our new keyword, and so I'm making a promise object through the promise constructor. And right here, I'm passing a function, which is the executor function, which takes two arguments, two functions, resolve and reject. So resolve function is a function that will be run after our promise or after our call to some APIs to fetch some data. If this call will be successful, then our resolve method function will be called. If we get an error, then our executor will return our reject function with whatever we passing into the function. So if you want to run the promise, if you want to call the promise, so our newly created object with the promise constructor, with that then, where we are passing our value, and we are printing this value into the console. We are also catching the error, or whatever the error will be. We are printing some string, and finally, at the very end, no matter what, it will, if this will result in an resolved promise or an rejected, then the finally method will be called basically always. So in this example, if we run this code with this object, our status of the promise will be fulfilled, and the result will be some value here, which we are passing into our resolve function, right? Very important, we cannot run the promise, the constructor promise, without any function, the executor function. We have to pass some, we have to pass a function with at least one of, there has to be two arguments, right? Resolve and the reject, or we can call it as we want. But we cannot pass anything inside our new promise object, because we will get a type error that the resolver is undefined, and it cannot be undefined, basically. Over here, if we want to see how the reject method will be run if we get an error from a server, then our status will be rejected and the result will be the error or whatever we are passing inside the reject function. So this is in a nutshell. I also wanted to show you. So the promise also have 5 internal slots which are not accessible to us as developers, but are internally defined inside the promise constructor. So what are these slots? The promise state is refers to whatever the state will be of our promise, which is fulfilled, pending. First is pending, then is fulfilled, and rejected. The promise result refers to whatever the result is of our reject or the resolved function, which we are passing over here, as you can see. So the promise result is whatever we are passing inside our resolve method or function or the reject. And then we have the promise fulfill and the promise reject reactions, which are a list of creation of reactions that are executed when our state goes from pending to either rejected or resolved. And the very last slot is the promise is handled, which is as default false. And what it does, it is it indicates if we properly catching the error that we are getting from our promise. So if we are not catching the error, then this promise is handled will be false, because we are not we are not catching any errors from the server or some other APIs. And so, in very short, the executor job is basically to take our state of pending and the result of undefined, and whatever the outcome is of the call, take it through the resolve or the reject function, and output our new state with the result of fulfilled of the rejected. So basically that's it. This is the promise constructor. So in the next video I will talk about a different topic in the promise. So see you next time. Bye.